Hey everyone, and welcome. So, you want to tell a story in French, right? Talk about your weekend, or maybe that amazing vacation you just took? Well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to unlock the Passé Composé. It's the absolute key to talking about the past. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll know exactly how to use it. Let's jump right in. So, let's start with a basic question. How do you say something simple like, I ate an apple, or we watched a movie? It sounds pretty basic, but it's the foundation for literally all storytelling. And today, we're going to solve that little puzzle together.
Okay, here's our game plan. We'll start with what the Passé Composé even is, then we'll look at its super simple two-part recipe. After that, we'll figure out how to choose our ingredients, master one special trick, and then finally put it all together. It's going to be fun.
All right, first things first. What in the world is this tense we keep talking about? Let's get a nice, clear definition.
Okay, so the Passé Composé, which literally means composed past, is what you use for actions that are done, finished, over. Think of it for specific events that happened. So when you say j'ai mangé une pomme, I ate an apple, well, the eating is over, that apple is gone. That, in a nutshell, is the Passé Composé.
So now that we know what it is, let's figure out how to build it. And this is the best part. This tense sounds all fancy and complicated, but it's really just a simple two-part recipe. And once you see it, you'll see it everywhere.
And that's it. I'm serious. Every single time you use this tense, you just need two things. First, a helper verb, which is going to be a form of either avoir or être. And second, something called the past participle. That's just your main action verb. So helper plus action. It's as simple as that. Okay, we've got our formula. Let's break down that first ingredient, the helper verb. Which one do we pick? Well, the good news is you only have two choices. Avoir, which means to have, or être, which means to be. Let's check out when to use each one.
So how do you choose? It's way easier than you think. On the left, we've got avoir. This is your go-to, your default. You're going to use it with the vast majority of verbs. Talking, eating, finishing something. Now on the right is être. You only use this one with a special little group of verbs. And most of them have to do with movement, like going, leaving, or being born. So here's a tip. When in doubt, avoir is probably your best bet.
All right, so we've got our helper verb. Now for part two of our recipe, the past participle. This is the word that actually carries the meaning of the action. And for most regular verbs, there's a really simple pattern. If you have a verb ending in or, like parler, to speak, you just chop off the or and add an a. Boom! Parler becomes parler. For verbs ending in eir, like finir, to finish, you drop the eir and just add an e. Finir becomes fini. See? It's a nice predictable pattern to get you started. Of course, it wouldn't be French if there weren't a few exceptions, right? While those patterns are great, some of the most common verbs are irregular, and you kind of just have to memorize them. But don't sweat it, you'll see these all the time. For example, prendre, to take, becomes pris. Faire, to do, becomes fait. And voir, to see, becomes vu. These are the words you use in everyday chats, so they'll become second nature really fast. Okay, so we've got our two main ingredients, the helper and the action verb. Now there's one final little trick that pulls it all together. It's called agreement, and mastering this is what will make you sound like you really know what you're doing. So here's the deal. It's super simple. When you use avoir as your helper, the past participle just stays the same. It never changes. See the example? Elles ont mangé. Easy. But, and this is the big but, when you use être, you have to make the past participle agree with the subject. Look at elles sont parties. You see that little es on the end of parties? That's because the subject, elles, is feminine and plural. That little change is the whole trick. So which verbs are in this special être club? Well, we like to think of them as living in the house of être. And you'll notice a pattern. They're almost all about movement or a change in your state of being. You've got verbs for coming and going like arriver and partir. You've got verbs for going up and down like monter and descendre. It's a small, specific family of verbs, and once you get to know them, that agreement rule gets a whole lot easier.
And hey, if you want a really fun way to remember these verbs, there's a classic little memory trick called DRMRS Vandertramp. Every single letter in that name stands for one of the main verbs that uses être. It's an awesome tool to help lock these into your brain for good.
All right, we have learned the recipe, we have our ingredients, and we know the special trick. So now, let's actually put it all together. How do we use this in the real world to tell our stories? This is where all the fun begins. So, when is the perfect time to pull this tense out of your pocket? Well, it's perfect for single finished actions, like J'ai regardé un film hier. I watched a movie yesterday. Done.
You also use it for a string of events. I got up, I took a shower, one action after another. And, of course, for anything that happened at a specific time, like Nous avons visité Paris en 2022.
And to make it even easier, keep an eye out for these little signal words. Words like hier, yesterday, ce matin, this morning, or any specific date are huge clues that you should probably be using the Passé Composé. They're like little flags telling you that an action is finished.
Okay, so let's do a super quick recap of the most important stuff. Remember the formula? It's just a helper verb plus a past particle. Avoir is your best friend, it's for most verbs, and there's no agreement to worry about. Être is for that special little club of motion verbs, and it always needs agreement. And most importantly, you use this whole thing to tell stories about things that are over and done with.
And really, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Master the past to better tell your story. Learning the Passé Composé isn't about memorizing a bunch of grammar rules. It's about giving yourself the power to share your own experiences, your memories, and your adventures in French. Thanks so much for joining me. Now go on. What story are you going to tell first?